Yeah, hello, good evening, traders. So this is QB. So I'm coming in with a breakdown, coming into the next trading week. So this video is for the most part dedicated to beginner traders. So if you're advanced traders. So if you're a beginner trader, this video may not necessarily be for you, but you could stick up in and get to watch, learn a couple of things. But for the most part, it's dedicated to guys that are a little bit advanced. Yeah. So to begin with, uh, let me just take off all this. Let's do it like this. Take it all off. Take off all that. Yeah. Take off all this. All this. Yeah. So what we're going to be going over, like today, is basically look at an overall outlook for today's week. The week that will be starting, I believe it's going to be from, is it 4th? It could be 4th, right? Check out my phone. Sorry. Yeah, today starts, so it will be 4th September till 5 days, 9th September. Okay. So we get to look at some of the the trades to expect out for the week of 4th to, let's say, 9th September. A couple of guys might get confused or something. 4th to 9th September. So yeah, so we're going to be looking at the breakdown of a couple of pairs. So I might have to concentrate on pairs like we'll have a look at, let's say, EURUSD, because this one I analyzed right from NFP. The guys that traded NFP with us, EURUSD. Then I might have to look at, let's say, GBPUSD. I will try to look at which other pair? GBP, let's say JPY. I personally no longer trade these pairs. I only trade gold. So we'll also try to look at gold as well, by the way. Then which other pair could I think of that you guys probably trade? Let's say GBP, AUD, maybe Euro, NZD. This may be too many, but I just want to make the video a little bit short, giving insights where to expect price to go on to and personal reasons. Yeah, so we mostly look throughout all these pairs. That's EU, GU, GJ, Gold, GA. Oh, we have card JPY. It's a good pair. Yeah. So these are the pairs that we're going to be looking out for the week of 4th to 9th September, what to expect out for the entire week. So starting right off, I have your USD. So this your USD that has been marked up, the anticipation was for price to come back into this area. For the guys that are trading NFP that came to Kochi Hotel to trade NFP with us, I analyzed this EU and I told you guys that price had already hit this extreme high. If NFP had happened when we were still maybe around here, would have expected a crazy mad sell from within this area. But by the time NFP reached, this was already like Wednesday when price came and hit up onto this high, meaning price had already dropped. So now when price hits a key price points, we only expect it to drop all the way to the next price point. More of like a zone to zone kind of thing. So the highest price point in this case was this area around 1.09293. Then we're expecting price to drop all the way into this area, which it actually did. But there was some little bit of inducement during NFP, and a couple of people thought that maybe price would buy. But I told you guys price had broken this area clearly because you could see that this is some sort of like a low. So price had broken this low to the downside. It retested a little bit. At the time when we were analyzing, price was, I think, somewhere around here. And I told you guys that price would extend a little bit into this area for a drop, which it actually did, and then continued all the way to complete this move. So anyone that would have taken this trade could have possibly had some sort of like, even if you had entered around here, this would have been a maximum of like 22 pips. Remember, I told you the previous NFPs, price can even strike for a maximum of up to 30 or 40 or 50 pips, usually consider 50 pips. But with good risk management, even if it's 50 pips, it's like a 0.02, 0.03. Eliminate all these things of thinking that you have to risk a full margin or anything. If you have more cash that you've stacked up somewhere else, then it's quite okay for you to risk that much. But if you don't, rather stick to good and proper risk management. So price dropped all the way down for close to 88 pips. Okay. The guys that were trading NLP with us can honestly testify. Yeah, so after price having done that, it came into this area. Remember, I was trying to say, once price gets into this area, that's where we're going to expect price to maybe start buying from. But unfortunately, it came and sat into the exact candlestick wick area of the weekly time frame. What do I mean by that? The area I was initially trying to talk about was this. As you could see, we had these two zones. The very first one right before NFP, I told you price had already reached into it. It was around here. So the next one was this very low. But now as you see, price dropped all the way back down into this sort of like a low. So coming into next week, this will be our interest, our point of interest. It could be our point of interest, but remember, this previous candlestick also left some sort of a wick. However much, it's not all that significant. So you could have entries here or slightly below with your stop loss right below. Does it mean that price is just going to entirely buy? No, this is an anticipation of price, and you're expecting price to do that. So if price is to break below, which it never did, would have seen some little bit of good momentum when price breaks below with a clean move over to the downside, so that you could possibly expect a retest, then continue that to the downside. Price didn't do that, it just stalled at this low. So that's why you're seeing me have a potential buy to the upside. So this buy has a potential buying up for close to, let's see, an initial of like, let's say around, let's say 50 pips. It's good to take profit, or it could even continue all the way up here, or even break structure on this low, then eventually come back to buy again. You get, do something like this. But to do something like this, maybe buy, then come back and now have this extreme buy to the upside. That is also a possibility. But what you're trying to look out right now is just basically playing with the reachable price. Highs out here, price hit those highs, came back into these lows. So we could expect a buy all the way to the upside, short-term buy. So that's my overall analysis on EU. So you should always have a stop loss right below so that you don't get stopped out in case price doesn't go your way. So the next pair we're to look out into, we said we have EURUSD, GBPUSD. So I could just go ahead and type in GBPUSD. Since we had analyzed EU, so I'm going to analyze GU as well. So when you come and try to look at GU, so when you look at GU, how price closed, it's quite interesting, but I wouldn't want to really think too much. I would have this low marked out, then I have my high marked up as well. Okay, so as we can see right around here, we have this area. We'll just go ahead and use this. We have this area around here. Okay, so price broke this area, came back for a retest, then it dropped all the way back to the downside. You can clearly see that on a smaller time frame. But right now, I don't really want to do too much, just giving an insight of what I expect price to do, or what I expect price to do. So as you can see on GU, we have this low right there. Then we have another sort of low around here. Then a heavily long low all the way down this side. You get, so those are the potential lows if prices to continue all the way to the downside. If it opens from here, could wait to buy it from around here, or this level, or this level. So if we go to, let's say, a smaller time frame to now see the overall basic price, you could have those lows. So if we go to a smaller time frame, like let's say the daily, so when you come to the daily, this is what you're looking at. So you have these highs mapped out entirely well. So I have this area, okay, that's a quite significant high. Then I have this low around here. Could extend it to the down to the left, but let me just focus on what price has been doing previously. So with that, personally, I would maybe eliminate this because this is entirely far and get to focus on these two. And as I'm trying to focus on these two, since this is quite close to this, I could just go ahead and see how many pips is this difference. So you have about 10 pips. So I could eliminate the second one and just have one sort of like extreme low. So this is what I have on my daily time frame. Now we'll go to my 4 hourly. So when I go to my H4 on GU, I have these are weekly levels. This is also a weekly level. So I have this. So this is what I'm entirely looking at. As you can see, price is within this low area. So I could expect price to drop similarly to GU to EU. We could possibly see a potential buy, a long position right from this area. Even if price doesn't necessarily come down into that area, but that's the best price point to wait out for. Now, GU could always have a potential pushing up to close to 150 pips. Now, stop losses, you could always have a 50 stop loss to protect your trade. Then you wait to see what price is going to do within that sort of like region. If we have a move that comes out like this, because this was entirely aggressive to the downside, but that doesn't necessarily mean the price is just going to slip through and go there to the downside. If it's to continue down, we would want to see it break clearly, come back with some sort of like a nice retest. Okay, retest twice, then we see a drop to the downside. If it doesn't do that, then we're most probably expecting price to buy. So the anticipation is a buy, but you've got to have a stop loss. If you are to sell, I've explained, price would have to break this low, then proceed to the upside. But as you can see, if this is H4 and this is a low, it's quite significant for price to come into this area and then proceed to the upside. You get. So I wouldn't really think so much of buying G right now. We could, sorry, selling G right now. We could actually get to buy G from there. H1, I don't think there's anything I would want to be doing on H1, honestly, because price is extremely and entirely clear on my H4, you know. So that's what I really have for GU. I don't really see anything. I don't really see anything. Sorry. So you could maybe have this to this. Let me see if we have some sort of like a chain line. It shouldn't be all that perfect. Perfect. So we could see price drop down here, then for a potential buy. In regards to this trend line, there's also a possibility that price could just come and stall. If it's to buy, do something like that, maybe end here. So you could lower your expectations for TP to close to 100 pips since we have this trend line. The possibility price could come up until this area, then we have this continuation all the way to the downside. So that's the anticipation for GU. What else did we say we are going to talk about? I think I said GBPJPY. JPY, we have actually taken longer than it should. So GBPJPY is on this historical high. The price broke clearly, came back, sat into it. So still the same thing with GJ. Price is above this high and still seated within this low. If we are to sell, I'd want to see price do something like this, give a clean retest, then I can sell all the way to the downside, maybe into these lows or maybe all the way back down here. Then considering price movement, there's a potential that price could buy. Okay, the possibility is also there if we are to maybe buy. Now for GJ, let's see if we could see something on the weekly before we do anything. So off the weekly, we have this week. You could see what happened last week. This was the previous low, so price tapped into it. Obviously, this candlestick open closed. It actually closed bullish. So if it closed bullish, it opened from here, push all the way to the high. These things are not so hard, but you have to be patient. Push all the way to the high, meaning if anyone caught this trade, it would have been a really, 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 really good sell. All the way down, where were you taking profits from? You were taking profits from this low. Okay, it may be a little bit confusing, but it shouldn't be. You probably be taking profits off this low. So as you see, when price tapped into this low, what were you anticipating? There could have possibly been people who are selling. Let me show you this. So you see price is selling from this high. Let's go to a smaller time frame and you see what I'm trying to talk about. So when you see this, so this is that high we saw. So as price was diving down, there's quite a number of people that were maybe expecting price to continue all the way to the downside. But why wouldn't you think that price would continue all the way to the downside? Because we had some sort of like a low on the weekly time frame of the other week, the previous other week, which is this low. Okay, let me just try to eliminate this to reduce confusion. So when you come back on the H4 time frame, remember we had highs above here. This is the low around here. Would it be? Would it be? Soda, pull. Yeah, yeah, actually that's the high. So as price was coming down, you know, there were lows this side. This was the Friday low because price usually closes on Friday. So that's the low around this area. So there's no way someone would expect price to continue selling all the way to the downside to come into this area. You get when we had a low. Before price does that, it would have to first break this low. I don't know whether I'm confusing you, but the guys that have been following and those that are going to be patient enough, these things are going to quite be easy for you to understand. With time, you'll be getting it. So this is the low. Price had to clearly break this low, retest, then continue to the downside. Similarly, as we are seeing with this coming week, we have this high, as I had marked it out. Price broke, came back all the way to the downside. This could have been some sort of like what? Sorry, I wanted a fib from this low to this high. You see, is close to a 50% retracement level. So the guys who could trade retracements, like price broke this area, came back for a retest. Why are you expecting to buy from that 50% retracement level? So price pushed all the way to the upside. But now our consideration is as long as we have a low here, there's no way we could sell here. You get because you've seen price dropping to the downside, you're seeing all this space, you're expecting price to continue down. Because you've seen it bearish, you're expecting price to continue down because you're seeing all this space. As long as we still have a low around here, you'd have to wait to consider a clean break, an extremely clean break, by the way. Clean. It breaks clean, comes retests, maybe with a triple retest or double retest, then we could see it continue the downside. If it hasn't broken clearly and it hasn't given price action for a sell, you can't sell here into expecting a continuation to the price continue all the way down. That's the mistake that most people do. There's no way you're going to think for price, and there's no way you're going to be selling in the middle of price. Just put it to sell high and try to buy low. So with GJ, we could expect price to stall maybe around here, unless, like I said, unless price breaks upon Monday, we see a clean break. That clean break would actually happen during Asian. Let's say if it is to break, we see a clean break, then retest and continue to the downside. If price doesn't do that, we're expecting price to buy from this area and come back, let's say up into an area like this, or even the ultimate highs, for instance, this weak area that we had left out on the weekly time frame, which is going to be this high, or we could actually remain with this high, by the way. So you could see price come up into that high. So if I go back down, so into this high. So if we get this buy from this area all the way into this high, then we could sell up again. But as of now, I don't really expect to have any sales. So for GJ, I'd possibly expect to have a buy. So I'm going to leave you guys with this same concept. Oh, this is a fib. My fib. I'm going to leave you guys with this same concept. Okay, you have longs. Stop loss is 50, but GJ is really wild. It can even go beyond 50 pips stop loss. You get. Then the targets could be 150 pips, maybe around this high, or you could even be conservative and take out this side. These are already 100 pips. You get. It doesn't really matter. These are 100 pips because of this high around here, but you could even hold all the way into that next high. Then maybe if price is to be extremely bullish, you could hold all the way into that high for close to 200 pips. But to be conservative enough, usually these moves take up to an average of about 150. So you could also leave your 150 pips there. So that's GJ, the anticipation. And I've given the reasons as to why I would expect a buy and not a sell. If it prices to sell, we're going to see a clean break to the downside, price retest, then we continue to the downside. Then we see what else do we have. I said which other pair. Let me just go into $1 pair and then close it off. USDCAD. It's $1 pair. I really love trading. This, which move was this? It was actually a good move. Oh yeah, concept is the same. So I think I had marked out this low price. I don't even trade these. I don't trade these pairs, but you see, they really have good moves. They really have good moves. So this was previous analysis. You're going to allow me delete it or eliminate all of it, then go back to the weekly to make new fresh time frame analysis. So as we can see, when you're looking at price, basic price action, you're seeing that we do have this high around here. Copy paste this, then I could drag it all the way down here. So these are highs, these are lows. So someone would expect to sell around here, but where do we sell from? I'll now eliminate this. You can't sell on those resistance areas because that might take some really long time for price to respect those areas. So my points of interest are always going to be these wicks. All these are personal secrets, but this is TBS, man. We're giving you guys all these things for your overall consumption. So we have this low, and then we have this. Since price is above, we could expect it to bounce off some area, like let's say around there, to have a short. Okay. So as it was continuing, the areas we would anticipate to sell from would have this zone around here. Okay. Or even price selling from here, but it's better for you to be conservative and take the extreme highs. All right. So if price is to sell, I would want to sell from this area, my 50 pip stop loss, and then I have my targets all the way to the downside. But like I said, if you have 100 pips on USD card, it's quite honest for you to exit that trade. So guys, that's the overall anticipation for next week. If price sells from here, you could leave it and wait for a perfect setup on another pair. Okay. So I guess that's it. You guys have a good night and a happy trading week.